Hello, I'm Dr. David Milgram, Holistic Oriented Cranial Chiropractor. Key number 4 in the 7 Keys to Self-Empowerment is letting go to honor the emotional body. This is the process that the inner wisdom of the body is constantly seeking to do. Not just to let go and let God, but to let go of love. Not just to let go of negative energy and negative emotions is what the inner wisdom wants to do, but it wants to express itself with unconditional love. In the Seven Herbs book, Matthew Wood describes the 4th guidepost on the spiritual path relates to the herb called sagebrush. Sagebrush grows in desolate places. Sagebrush grows in broken, harsh places and brings beauty and life to these places. Sagebrush has an ability to help you let go of whatever is obsolete. Sagebrush, he describes, is the medicine for letting go of no-win situations. When there is nothing to do, the thing to do is to accept it and trust that the body, the mind, the spirit knows what to do. But to hold an attitude, an agenda, is oftentimes the block to the free flow of energy. So to put oneself and one's mind into the mode of letting go, of surrendering, of having the courage to let go of what is no longer necessary, to have the courage to let go of love unconditionally, is the root, the primary aspect of honoring the emotional body. In Seven Herbs, Matt relates the character of Abraham to the 4th key of letting go. Abraham, of course, was supposedly told by God to slay his first son. And eventually, just as he was about to do it, he let go of the knife and he let his son live. Of course, Jean-Paul Sartre said, if an angel came to me and told me to kill my son, I'd ask him for some form of identification. So letting go is the medicine for when we are in a no-win situation. We can't change the situation we're in. Oftentimes our best choice is to let go. Not simply to let God, but to give ourselves an opening to be cleansed and to allow what wants to unfold to happen. This is the primary key of honoring the emotional body, letting go. The second level of honoring the emotional body is called releasing emotional attachments. This is where we really do some hardcore work to help the emotional body. When we can assist the wisdom within to release and eliminate, get rid of emotional attachments that are no longer serving to self or spirit. This I call the stem of honoring the emotional body. The third level of honoring the emotional body, the branch, I call desire, true desire. What do we really want? Not that we can get it, but are we willing to focus and put our energy there? Are we willing to pray for it? Are we willing to go for it? Are we ready, willing, and able to just let go and follow our true desire? The 4th level of honoring the emotional body, the 4th key, is called love. But this is personal love, heart love, conditional love. I'll give to you, now you give to me. It's love. It's the center. But it's self-oriented. It wants to give, but it does want something in return. Love is, of course, really what it's all about. Love makes the world go round, but how can we be in touch with our true love in the leaf of honoring the emotional body if we're not in touch with our true desire? And how can we be in touch with our true desire if we're blocked by emotional attachments that we haven't released? And how can we even think about releasing them if we're not in the mode of letting go? So again, every level is harmonized by the next one and is fulfilled by the one two after it. It's called inner faith. Inner faith, which is where we really show the courage to act in accordance with spirit, with our mind, with our body, with not cutting ourselves off from one part, but being open to utilizing the wholeness of ourself to generate even greater faith. The sixth level of honoring the emotional body, I call renewing radiance, renewing your light. Now, oftentimes, we renew our radiance and we renew our light when we get great news and we run with it. Is that really true? A lot of times when we have success, we end up getting lazy and going towards failure. A lot of times when we fail, we work harder and we lift ourselves up to success. I'd like to share two little stories here in this regard and how we can take any information, knowledge, or wisdom in the universe and potentially use it for healing, whether negative or positive, whether perceived negatively or positively. So story number one. One of my grandfathers had his second stroke in 1969. He was laying in the hospital bed for many days, weeks. The doctor told everyone in the family, you better come visit. He's got just a few days to live. So his son, my uncle, went up to visit him one day in late August, and my grandfather was sleeping. So my uncle turned on the television set, and the New York Mets, the amazing Mets, were right in the middle of their pennant race in 1969, where they eventually won the World Series. After a few minutes, my grandfather opens up his one good eye, and he looks up and he says, like, what's going on? And my uncle tells him, yeah, the Mets are in a pennant race. And my grandfather, a lifelong New Yorker, identified with the New York Mets winning. The Mets winning was like him winning in his mind. So within a few minutes, 10 minutes, my grandfather fell back asleep. My uncle went home, and then he came back the next day. And my grandfather's sitting up, watching the game. Well, long story short, he lived another 5 years with no disability whatsoever. Right side of his body somehow got unparalyzed. He could speak again. He could walk and talk perfectly again. So he got inspired by getting good news about the New York Mets, and his whole body healed from that. He renewed his radiance from positive information. What he interpreted was positive. Now here's another story on the opposite end of the spectrum. There was a medicine man, an Indian medicine man, worked on thousands of people for 40, 50 years, and then he got really tired. And he slept all day, weeks, months, and finally the doctor said to him, I'm going to put you in the hospital, your liver has failed. And after a few months of sleeping in the hospital, the doctor said, he's going to die in a few days, you better call in the whole family. So hundreds and thousands of people came to visit the Indian medicine man to pay their last respects, or so they thought. At the end of the day, the older medicine man is laying in bed, and he looks over at the younger medicine man that he's been training, his apprentice, and the younger medicine man is smiling. The older medicine man says, why are you smiling? I'm dying. And the younger medicine man says, yeah, I know, you're I'm going to get all your patients soon. Oh, the older medicine man sat himself up in bed and he got angry and yelled at the younger medicine man and told him never to come back, and then he fell back asleep. Well, the next morning he woke up and he said, I'm going to fix that guy. So he started stretching his body into alignment. He started breathing real deep. He started using his muscles and pumping his energy. And 3 weeks later, he got out of the hospital. That was 13 years ago. He's still alive today. So, funny thing is, in Chinese medicine, the emotion of anger tends to live in the liver and is always thought as being something deleterious or negative for it. But here this man got angrier, and it precipitated his complete healing. So he took negative information, or what was perceived as negative information, and turned it into positive. So that brings us to the fourth attention and access mode of honoring the energy body, and that is perception. It's not what's happening that's important, it's how we perceive it. We do not experience life as it is, but as we perceive it. It's our perceptions that make us or break us, and not what is actually happening. It's how we interpret what we're dealing with that determines whether we mess ourselves up or bless ourselves up. That brings us to the seventh level of honoring the energy body. So in this fourth key of honoring the emotional body, the sixth level is renewing one's light, one's radiance. And this is what harmonizes us and brings us to the seventh, to the seed. This is called agape, unconditional love. Agape gives for the sake of giving and cares not to receive back. It just loves. So there's a beautiful poem that William Blake wrote regarding personal love, conditional love, and the unconditional love of the divine of agape. And it goes this way. Love seeketh not itself to please, nor for itself hath any care, but gives itself for another's ease, and builds a heaven in hell's despair, in hell's despair. So sang a little clod of earth, trodden neath the cattle's feet. What then the pebble of the brook warbled back, these measures meet, these measures meet. Love seeketh only self to please, to bind another to its delight, rejoices in another's loss of ease, and builds a hell from heavenly light, from heavenly light. So in that poem, that is the perfect expression of the difference between divine love, agape, that gives just for the sake of giving, and conditional love that always is seeking something in return. Another important aspect to mention here with regards to honoring the emotional body is that different individuals have different sensitivities. Some people, more often women, are silky. They're sensitive, whereas most men are more often coarse and like burlap. You can kick burlap in the butt, and they're like, thanks, you honored me, you got me moving. They don't need much sensitivity, but if you kick a silky, sensitive person in the butt, they feel dishonored. So silky people must be honored with silk, with sensitivity. This is a very important aspect to consider when seeking to honor the emotional body. So the healing law number 4, that correlates to honoring the emotional body is the law of therapeutic inactivity, what the Chinese call Wu Wei, the way of non-doing. Doesn't mean do nothing. It just means don't be attached to having a plan, to having an agenda. The primary brain center of the emotional system is the limbic system, the hypothalamus, part of the brain that processes emotions, amygdala, hippocampus, and so forth. Interesting thing about the limbic system is that it is actually shaped like a wishbone. It is the most beautiful example of the doctrine of signatures, Paracelsus' doctrine of signatures within the body. The limbic system is literally shaped like a wishbone. The emotional center is shaped like a wishbone. There are many issues within the emotional body, but the real core issue is being overly attached to the past and/or holding too many expectations about the future, not being in the present moment. This is commonly known as PTSD, present time synchronization disorder. What we seek to do in healing is to be in the moment so that we can have the best possible chance to make positive choices for our own well-being. From the inside out, the core tissue relating to the emotional body is the first layer of meninges, the bloody layer called the pia mater, where peace is the matter. The core body pattern of the fourth key is the splits. Splitting headache, split mind, schizophrenia, feeling cut off and split. This is the healing for the emotional body, to reconnect, to open to reconnecting. And so, the healing statement or prayer for honoring the emotional body, what we are saying to Spirit and ourselves is cleanse me. Please cleanse me, help me to let go, to release, so I can be at peace. In the Positive Body Language Seminar for honoring the emotional body, we will be teaching body contacts for letting go, for releasing emotional attachments, for desire. The first three bodies that we considered, the energy, the spiritual, and the mental, Matt Wood calls this the bread of healing, the basic bread of healing. With the fourth key of honoring the mental body and letting go, Matt Wood calls this the beginning of the wine of healing. This is where we will begin level 2 of teaching positive body language. We will be sharing the contacts for letting go, for releasing emotional attachments, for desire, for love. Yes, we will be teaching you various ways to say or make love to your body. We will also be teaching positive body language contacts for inner faith, for renewing radiance of light, as well as for divine unconditional love of agape. I look forward to seeing you at the upcoming Positive Body Language seminars.